We are delighted to have you join us for yet another exciting episode of our podcast. Tonight, we have a very special guest with us, Aahana Srishti. We are thrilled to welcome her to the show. Aahana has an impressive academic background, having completed her economics honors degree from Indraprastha College of Women and further her expertise with a master's degree from the prestigious Indian Institute of Foreign Trade. Currently, she is making significant contributions as a researcher at the Indian Institute for Council on International Economic Relations. Welcome to the podcast, Aahana.
Thank you so much, Naisa. It's great to be here. Yeah.
Thank you. Her journey and insights promise to make this evening both inspiring and definitely very informative. Now, beginning with the most basic question, can you tell us about your journey into the field of economics or walk us through your school time till today, your experiences in the Indraprastha College and Indian Institute of Foreign Trade?
Yeah, thank you. So it was in class 7th that I decided that I don't want to do science. I don't want to pursue science. Till then, I wanted to be a pediatrician. I wanted to be a doctor. But it was one chemistry exam which ticked me off. And I'm like, I cannot do science anymore. And it was in 9th and 10th when we were first introduced to political science and history as full-fledged subjects, where I decided that, yes, this is it. I'm going to pursue humanities in my plus 2, like 11th and 12th. Coming from a background where everybody in my family had pursued science, my mom was a little skeptical about the whole thing. So she just, since she studied agricultural economics, she wanted me to have at least some exposure to economics in the higher secondary level. So that is why I agreed to it. My school did not offer humanities with economics as the subject. So that was an issue. Plus, I felt that if I have to take economics honors in my bachelor's degree, then I need to have maths. And again, my school did not have like a provision for humanities students to study mathematics. So I was in touch with my school authorities and I requested them. So they did allow me to sit in the economics class, which were held for the commerce people. But I had to miss my own classes at that time. So that wasn't feasible for me. My maths teacher, Jacob ma'am, was really nice. So what used to happen was the science kids who wanted to pursue psychology and not maths used to come into our section. And nobody from humanities went to science to study maths till now. But I had that option. So while I studied maths in my school, I did not study economics. So I studied it from outside. And again, I'm very grateful to Jyoti ma'am, wherever she is. So that's how my journey started. And I credit my mom and Jyoti ma'am to help me understand economics. And then IPCW happened, and I'm very grateful. I mean, it wasn't the first choice. And things that happened, CBSE was really hard. I didn't score well in English. My marks came down and all that is history. But IPCW was very nice. And then I took a gap year to give an attempt at UPSC Civil Service examinations. I might come back to it later. I did clear till the interview round, but life is hard like that. And then I decided that I need to have a plan B. And it was rather the UPSC preparation which made me feel that I like economics to the extent that I would want to study it further. So that is why I went ahead with my master's. And that's how I landed in IIFT Kolkata. Yes.
That's really a very fascinating journey. I mean, a lot of ups and downs were there in between. I mean, so it's clear that your experience at Indraprastha College and Indian Institute of Foreign Trade have shaped your career path significantly. Was there any particular moment during your studies that made you realize economics was your true calling, that something you really wanted to pursue further?
So, as I said, I studied humanities. I was good. I liked political science and history and geography. But I think the thing with economics which caught my eye or which has stayed with me is it's a beautiful blend of a science discipline as well as a humanities discipline. Like when you say social science, I think economics fits into it very perfectly. It gives you the rigor of maths. If you study, if you do a master's degree, you even more realize how mathematical and physics like it is. But at the same time, you also understand the social aspects of it. You can see how, as I always call it, I read it somewhere that with economics, we're living in an experiment. Like we can't experiment. You can't experiment, or any theory per se. But we're, especially when it comes to macroeconomics. So when living, it's a living experiment, and I think that's very fascinating.
Being myself an economics student, I could totally relate to your point. So, was there any biggest influences or any mentors in the field of economics that caught your eye?
I think it'll be my mom first, even though now she's a technocrat. But since as training, she was an agricultural economist. She is an agricultural economist. So I feel that that helped. And then I said Jyoti ma'am, who was my teacher in class 12th, who taught me economics. So, I mean, I owe it to her that even today, after those many years, if you ask me cost curves and production curves, I can draw it like at the back of my hand. And that has stayed with me. I loved the diagrams and the understanding behind them. So yeah, so no like big people, but yeah, people who've made a significant and a big contribution in my life are my mentors.
Exactly. It's interesting how certain individuals and experiences can steer us in a particular direction. Those influences really seem to have a lasting impact on your career. Do you see yourself mentoring others in the same way?
Of course, I mean, I keep talking to people, especially people who want to give the civil services or want to pursue a career in a government service. That how do you prepare, and how economics as a field, as a career option is there. So I'm very happy to help and share whatever experience and expertise I have.
Okay, so from here, moving to the next question, was there any unexpected, unusual job you would have had before setting into your current career?
So working at ICRIER is my first like proper job, and I was interning here for a year. And unusual, I mean, I interned at a random NGO in my undergraduation, where we didn't really work and we just played cricket, and they also paid us. And I felt it was such a waste of resources and my time. I'm getting the money, but I'm not learning anything. So that was like, it wasn't very nice. So I'm like, I'm very sure about wherever you have to work, you need to ensure that you're also growing with it.
Yes, it just goes to show how diverse experiences can contribute to where we end up at this point. So, do you think that the job influence that particular job at your undergraduation level influence your current role in any which way?
Not really. It just taught me something that I need to be where I am productive and I'm contributing to the organization in a more positive way.
So, looking back, do you have any career advice to your younger self that you want to give it? Any?
This is something that I tell my future self also, that you need to have faith in yourself, and like you need to believe in your caliber and your potential, because a lot of times we plan and plans do not go our way. So you need to be aware that it'll happen, but you need to be assuring yourself that whatever will happen is going to be for the best, and you're going to be all right. Because a lot of times we plan things and they don't turn our way, and life seems tricky and heavy, but you should be aware कि नहीं हो जाएगा.
Exactly, unexpected twist at every part of our lives. I mean, like you have given a very excellent advice, and I'm sure the listeners will definitely appreciate it. Looking back, do you think that advice would have definitely changed your career path a bit more as compared to previously?
I think I would have been more chiller, and yeah, I mean, I would have taken things less seriously, or like not tied my life around to them, which is important. Career is one part of your life, and obviously growing up this phase, we're very into it, and but it's okay. You can be chill about it, and then you can go forward. That's like my advice to anybody. You're going to be fine.
Exactly. So, since I am from an economics background, so we keep on doing a lot of projects, a lot of projects. So, there was any project, any most rewarding project that you undertook, and why was it very exciting and informative for you? Any particular project?
I'll talk about two things here. One is from my master's degree. So it was a subject on microeconomics, advanced microeconomics, and we were studying game theory. and I am very bad at game theory. I don't understand like the theoretical parts of it, but I love the application parts of it. So it was a group project, and we developed a game theoretical model to explain how rapes happen, like how a woman who has been a victim of a rape, how can she uh, take the take help of the justice system. For example, if there's a if, if the rapist is, or the criminal rather, is from an influential background, and if this is if this is a rural area, then how the police's response would be as against if this man was in the urban setting. So we analyzed a whole SPN, sub-perfect national equilibrium, on a Bayesian approach through that. So even though I didn't like the subject per se, but the fact that we could employ its tools into real life made it is what economics is, right? I mean, you study theories, you study principles, but once you start applying them into your life and into something like this, I think it becomes more very nice. And something on a lighter note would be that recently one of my articles got published in Live Mint, which I wrote with my professor at ICRIER. So that was like a dream come true. As a child, I've loved writing. In IPCW, I was part of the editorial team also. So it was always a dream that if I could uh, have share a little bit of my expertise, jitna bhi hai, and write also. So that was like those two things are very close to my heart.
Okay, so now let's make this podcast come interview quite exciting. So, if you could bring one economic principle to life as a person, which one would it be, and what personality traits would it have, and everything?
This is a law of economics, which I feel that even a layman can understand, laywoman can understand. It's the law of diminishing marginal utility. And I feel that it can be applied anywhere and everywhere. And if it is a person, it will be a little controlling. It will be assertive that, oh, Anna, don't watch too much of your favorite TV show, because then the marginal utility you derive from it will fall. Or don't study too much, or don't work too hard so much that your utility or the satisfaction that you derive from whatever you're doing reduces. So you have to have uh, I think adequate measures and controls over whatever you do in life, so that your marginal utility is maintained at a decent level.
That's such a creative take. I mean, it's amazing how you personify that principle as a person. I mean, so which economic concept would make the best theme as a TV show, a series, or a movie?
I couldn't think of a particular show, but I was thinking that if we can employ, I think this I'm bringing game theory again and again, but if we can employ the principles of game theory in any of these shows and show that how people take their decisions based on dominant strategies or Nash equilibria, and if at all these strategies end up at a Pareto optimal level or not, like I don't know, probably as even a soap, daily soap in India, and where the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law are strategizing against each other or for each other or planning anything, and how their moves and strategies work towards their Pareto optimality.
I really love that idea. I would really love to watch that particular TV show. I mean, so if you are an economic indicator, which one would you be and why?
I don't know if it exists. I had to read about it, but I was thinking that if I could be a green GDP per capita in indicator. So, I mean, we don't have a lot of well-being indicators which are actively used in policy making as of now, even though theoretically there are many. But if we can have, because my thesis was on environmental economics, I am I feel that economics or growth gets affected by the impacts that we have on our environment. And since looking at the pie is not enough, we need to see how much the share of each the pie's share is for everybody. So that could be nice.
What an insightful comparison. I mean, the sustainability thing, comparing it to a human, that's very nice. So, if you could ask Adam Smith just one question, what it would be?
I thought really hard of this question. And I think I'll ask him that, does he feel that if Adam Smith comes to life in the 20th century and he's living with us in 2024, does he think that the invisible hand theory would still hold true, or does he feel that people can be influenced and they're not always looking at their best interests or something like that? Yeah.
That's a really nice question. So, if you could be an invisible observer at any historical event that you really wanted to attend, you wanted to see that in real, which one would it be and why?
I have only one answer for this, and I had already imagined myself. It would be the 1930s global financial crisis when Keynes came to power. So, the reason that I think of this is when we read economics today, when we read our newspapers today, we know that the government is an essential part of any economy. It comes very naturally to us that there is an issue, the welfare state will take care of it. But for us to imagine that there was a time where the classicals dominated and the government was not in place, and then Keynes comes to life and then comes to play, and then he's asking no, that the government is important. It's very revolutionary. So as a student in my bachelor's, I could not understand it very well, but later when I read macroeconomics and the chronology of events, I realized that how beautiful or how crazy it would be to actually be an economist in that era, So yeah.
A very fascinating choice. Being an invisible observer during that time would provide you so many insights, so many. So, as an economics, do you have any guilty pleasures or hobbies that people wouldn't expect from an economics person, an economics field person?
I really thought that I could come up with something, but I don't think as an economist you're not allowed to. I mean, with nudge coming through and with Homo economicus not being rational, I think we're all allowed our guilty pleasures, and I don't think it's related to economics per se, being an economist per se. That would be my take. I mean, if somebody can come up with it, then yeah.
Okay, so was there any skill, any subject you always wanted to learn, but obviously didn't have the chance to learn it?
Yes, it was the subject that I could study maths for. It's psychology. I really feel that it's one of the subjects that I've never studied. I've had my share of exposure to a lot of subjects, but not psychology. So yeah, I mean, I would love to see how actually behavioral economics comes to life when I study psychology. Yeah.
That's something that we all can relate to. You know, Destiny has different plans, we had different plans. So there's always so much more to learn. So do you have any plans to pursue that interest in psychology in future?
I think I might just read a few books on it, but I'm very sure that economics was the right choice for me. So I'm like very secure in that.
Nice. So a very important question, and I really wanted to ask that. So how were you able to survive economics honors degree?
It is fun and it is hard, like any degrees, I feel when after I've done my master's, I feel bachelor's was much more easy. But as a bachelor student, you feel that it's hard, and uh, especially like the maths gets to you. I don't know the subjects they have now, but the first MME subject that we have, I hated it. I was like, I cannot do this. Why do I have to study maths again? And that happened with me in masters also, where we had to study maths and real numbers, and I cannot visualize some part of mathematical tools for economics. I mean, I'm good with optimization, but yeah. And how do you survive? You keep on doing your best, and you take help of your friends and your teachers, and then you ask them questions. If you're not understanding something, you go back to it. And something that has helped me, I feel, is you go beyond your books also to actually understand what you're studying. You start reading the newspaper, you look at the budget more seriously, the economic survey more seriously, read books like The Nudge or Poor Economics or Banker to the Poor. So this helps you give a larger or a more non-textbooky approach to your subject, and it is essential. So if you want to pursue a career in economics, you need to know that it is more than the demand supply curves that you study in your textbooks. So yeah, that can help psychologically again. Yeah.
It sounds like quite the journey, and it's clear that you handle it with a lot of determination. So, what's that one question that any economic student has asked you? Every.
I think about the prospects of a career in economics. I mean, I have to tell them that I personally feel that economics is a very, very versatile subject. As a master's graduate, people have gone into corporate as a business analyst, risk analyst, etc. People have gone into the government service, the Indian Economic Services, RBI, etc. And then people have come into research also, and research also has a lot of, like, it's not limited to Indian organizations. You can work in the World Bank, IMF. All these people require researchers. So I think it's very versatile in any direction that you can go. So that was one of the questions that I've been asked a lot.
I can imagine how frequently you get that asked. I mean, what's your go-to response for that? I mean, in a one-liner thing.
I tell them that whatever. So every job has its, So you asked me in one line. I mean, if you like, data crunching and the financial aspect of economics, you can go into the corporate field. If you like writing about policy issues, you can go into policy research. If you like academics, you can pursue an academic life. And if you still feel that you want to contribute to policy making, I feel joining the government is a much more rewarding job. In policy research help, but getting into the government, I think you're a part of the implementation process. So yeah.
Okay, that sounds very great. So, can you recall any moment, like that aha moment? Okay, this is the thing that I really wanted to study in economics.
I think this was during the time I was prepping for civil services examinations. It was the COVID time. I had a very short span, like the cycle was very short as compared to the non-COVID time era, and I had to study the subject very. So the so the way in which UPSC asks you economics questions is very different from how it is treated in the bachelor's degree. Yeah, I don't know about now. I feel old when I say this, but it's been a while. And we studied 15 days before the semester, like any other person, and that's the only time when your real learning is happening, unless you're like really consistent and extraordinary. But with UPSC, you need to know your subject really well. The questions that they ask you are very are very comprehensive. So if you don't know what exactly happened during the monetarist revolution and how they were different from Keynesians, or how the new Keynesians are different from new Keynesians and neo Keynesians, you need to know the subject. And that is when I realized that I really like the subject. And even though things did not come into my favor, I was ready that I do want to study economics further. So that was like, it wasn't a moment, but it was like a duration, which made me realize that what could be good for me.
I can totally relate to your 15 days journey during your semester exams.
Yeah.
You know, we exactly did the same. And those aha moments can really shift our perspective and deepen our understanding. So coming to the recent things that are happening, could you think that AI ever fully replace human economics? Or is there any irreplaceable element of human intuition in economic analysis?
Whenever I think of these fourth IR technologies, I feel that so I'm taken back to Schumpeter's theory, which is of creative destruction, where you say that there is a wave and there is a lot of loss that happens during that wave. People lose their jobs. People lose, I mean, the people who are adjusted to earlier productivity levels are at a disadvantage than people who are well equipped, are more skilled in AI, ML, etc. So that is going to happen, and I'm not going to say that it's going to be all chill for us, but having used or having been exposed to AI tools like ChatGPT, or even AI sites which help you, find literature review for your thesis or any project, or any research paper that you're writing, I feel that they can aid you. And or if you're into the corporate field or in a more data analyst stage, they can help you write codes. But at the same time, for you to know, I mean, you cannot accept their results or their outcome as foolproof. You need to be aware of what you know. And even in research, you cannot ask ChatGPT to write your research paper, because as a researcher, you need to know what you want the audience to understand from your research. And that flow and that those ideas have to be yours. You can tell ChatGPT to write me a paragraph on this, but you have to specify that this, right? And for that, you need your human brain. And I think these aspects will remain very human, the ideas and the way of execution. But yes, the tasks will become easier. You will not have to spend hours on Excel or Python to write the codes and stuff like that. So yeah, those
That's
are.
an intriguing point, I must say. While AI has the power to process vast amounts of data, it's interesting to hear how you emphasize the value of human intuition. Now, coming to the most interesting segment of this podcast, rapid fire questions. So, if economics were a sport, which sport would it be?
I think chess, when you're thinking about strategizing and using game theoretical analysis in your head, that you have these assumptions, but what else is gonna happen by the opponent? Yeah.
Interesting choice. I can see how that sport parallels the strategic and competitive nature of economics. So, if your life was a graph, what would be X and Y axis?
Y would be time. Sorry, X would be time, and Y would be, I think, my ability to respond to uncertainty in life, because life is uncertain. I've learned that with my experience. Yeah.
That's a creative way to visualize your journey and through a mathematical concepts. So, what was your favorite economic myth to debunk?
That assumptions are not unnecessary. They are very well required whenever you write a theory. Economics is a science, but we cannot, I mean, you can't say the room temperature is this and the amount of this chemical has to be this precise. So to ensure the same level of you know purity when you're expressing your economic theory or logic, there need to be assumptions, and they're very necessary, even though you might not like them in the beginning or find them unrealistic.
I bet that's a very satisfying one to tackle. So, if economics concept was a superhero, which would be the most powerful and why?
I think if we could, if the externality idea of externalities could come to life, and then somehow all our market failures caused by externalities or lack of information could be adjusted back to equilibrium, and we could have been arrived we could arrive at a market determined outcome. Yeah.
That's a powerful analogy. So, if emotions like happiness and stress could be taxed, which emotion would have the highest tax?
I think in the world that we are living, it's very common for people to normalize stress, tension, and anxiety and depression. Words like, I mean, I'm not negating the fact that life has become tougher, there's competition, there's failure, but the idea of normalizing stress is problematic. So, somehow, if we could tax it at the highest level, then people would be more aware and more prudent about how stressed they want to be. And while thinking about this question, I also thought that stress leads to a negative externality. So, if a child is stressed, his mother, her mother, his or her father, or like the family members might also get affected negatively by it. So if we can, internalize that negative externality through a tax, like which is the idea of a Pigouvian tax. So I think, yeah, stress should be the highest on the list.
That's really a unique take on taxation. So, now you have to describe the following people in just one word: Adam Smith,
Father of modern economics.
he's Amartya Sen,
A humanist, however you pronounce
okay,
it.
Dr. Manmohan Singh,
Is a visionary. I'm a fangirl of Dr. Manmohan Singh, especially what he did during the 1991 reforms. You should read about it. I mean, it's absolutely incredible how he could think of something so revolutionary at that point of time for India, like market reforms against what the idea of socialism was. Yeah.
I mean, every Indian has to be the fan for that. The 1991 crisis. Nirmala Sitaraman,
I think she's a prudent finance minister. The budgets that she has presented have been, yeah, very prudent for the economy. She's tackled fiscal deficit very well. She's talked about capital expenditure, curbed revenue expenditure. So yeah, very prudent, I'd say.
Okay, and the last one, Mukesh Dhirubhai Ambani.
Nothing that I can think of that how rich he is. So I'm gonna stick with rich.
Nice, nice. That's a fitting description. It really captures their impact legacy in the field of economics. That brings us to the end of this insightful and engaging conversation, Ahana. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast today. Your journey from your days at Indraprastha College and the Indian Institute of Foreign Trade to your current role at the Indian Council for Research on International Economics Relations has been nothing short of inspiring. The wisdom and perspectives you have shared will undoubtedly resonate with our listeners. Before we wrap up, do you have any final thoughts or advice for our audience, especially for those who are aspiring to follow in your footsteps?
I think I have already mentioned these points that economics is a rewarding field. You have to accept I mean, if you're somebody who does not like maths or the rigor of it, you have to accept that and apply it on the social side. Or if you're a person who's like into the social angle of it and loves and isn't into the social angle of it and loves maths, you have to accept both sides. But it's a rewarding subject. It has huge career opportunities as of today in the government, in the research, in corporate. So yeah, all the best.
Wise words, indeed. Thank you again, Ahana, for joining us and sharing your journey with us. To our listeners, we hope you enjoyed this episode and took away some invaluable insights. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep exploring the fascinating world of economics. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you, Naisa. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Ahana, I would also like to extend thank you to you for coming on such short notice and giving such I would say warm and beautiful information about economics. I have seen you grow over time, and I have seen how beautifully you are able to go ahead and process those thoughts and how you're able to showcase the economics, how you're able to bring that forward now. It's very nice. You have gained that maturity now in you. So let me tell you that I have seen Ahana grow from her college life, and now when I see all of you turning into beautiful women and capturing the world, it feels amazing. So I would like to thank you, and I would also like you to invite you for future sessions on UPSC also. I see that you have gained a lot of experience, a lot of exposure, and I'm sure that that would be very, very helpful to the upcoming batches also.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was so nice hearing from you. I mean, I take back the public finance lectures that you took for us, and I'm not kidding. I'm not saying it for the sake of it because we're being recorded, but I really enjoyed those lectures, and I still think of the clarity with which you taught us was really helpful. So it was really nice hearing back from you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ahana. So all the very best for your future ahead, and I wish you a very good evening.
Thank you,
Thanks,
ma'am.
Maisa, for your time today. Thank you.
Thank you.